Welcome to The Intersection, where power, policy, and progress converge. The official podcast of Weiss, Serota, Helfman, Cole, and Bierman. Here, we bring you into the conversations with the legal minds, civic leaders, and visionaries shaping the future of our counties and communities. I'm your host, Chanae L. a partner here at the firm, and I am absolutely thrilled to launch this series with a dynamic guest who embodies everything that this show is all about. Today, we'll be joined by Commissioner Oliver Gilbert III, a powerful voice in Miami-Dade County government known for his bold leadership, strategic mind, and his ability to balance politics with progress. So look, before we actually get into it though, it's only right that I start this episode.
I can't crip walk. I can't crip walk right here. I do know how to, though. I do know how.
Look, welcome to the show. I could not start it without your theme song here.
Listen,
all right?
They aren't like us.
They not.
They're not. I'm from Miami Gardens, Miami-Dade County. We are different down here in Miami-Dade County.
Yes.
We're different.
But I actually want to take it a little further and say you are different because
just a little bit.
Just a slight bit. We don't really meet too many elected officials with such big personalities as you, so down to earth, but also so bright and very on it, smart, can talk the game, but also meet the people where they're at. So I'm really, really happy to have you first and foremost here with us. And so let's get right into it. So you've served in so many different roles, right? So you've been mayor of Miami Gardens, you've been the chair of the Board of County Commissions for Miami-Dade County, and you've also had different leadership roles within the county too.
Yes.
So if you had to describe your leadership style in 3 words, what would that be?
3 words? Out of these 3 words?
Only 3, that's it. That's all you got.
Only 3. Let's just try 2. Aggressive intelligence.
Okay.
So my mom, she was a Seventh-day Adventist teacher. My dad, a Baptist preacher. My mom's thing was always about method. My dad's thing was always about intention, like who you're trying to help. And so my leadership style more comes from her. I am very, very specific. What are we trying to get accomplished? Because what I found in public spaces a lot of times, we would have people who they say they're trying to get something accomplished, but none of the things they were doing would actually inure to that accomplishment. Like this is not going to turn out this way. Mm-hmm. So I'm very, very direct. I'm very direct about things because a lot of times people will say, "Oh, I didn't understand it that way." I like to think when I communicate, everybody in the room understood exactly what I said. Yeah. And so we're clear about how this is going to go from my perspective. Mm-hmm. You speak as clearly and we can find a way to make it work.
Yes. You remind me of something. So I was in law school. Of course, I've been hosting events forever, part of BALSA. Called you up, invited you, and without a second thought, you showed up and was there, right? But in coming, you spoke on, I can't remember what topic, whatever the topic was, it ruffled a little feathers, right?
Oh, probably.
And so I'm talking to you afterwards outside, and I said something to you, and you said, you know what, the thing about me is that people don't ever have to wonder who I am, what I am, did I say it, did I not say it, because I'm consistent in who I am every single time.
I'm the same person. What I said was I'm the same person every time. So I don't ever have to remember who I was for you.
Yeah.
I'm consistent. And so if someone tells you that they met me and I was really, really, really nice, that's probably true. If somebody tells you they met me and I was a jerk, that might be true also. Because one of my superpowers is I match your energy. Mm. So if you're a nice person, I'm probably very nice to you, but you're never going to be rude and nasty to me, and I'm going to be nice to you. We're going to be on the same road, going down the same path together.
So you like a Charlemagne, right? Instead of you don't take the Michelle Obama route. When they go high, when they go low, we go high. You do the opposite. When they go low, you take it to the flow. Is that what it is?
I think God wants us to be equally yoked. Yeah, I think God wants us to be equally yoked. I think God didn't say God wants us to be equally yoked together. So if we're in this thing and it's a relationship, it don't work if you way up here and I'm way down here. I'm way up here and you way down there. And you have to meet people where they are. So sometimes we mistake people's intentions because we're listening from our perspective. People generally tell you where they are, right? And they tell you where they are and what they think and how they feel and how they listen. So how they communicate is generally how they listen. So if they're communicating in very direct form and you're communicating this high-minded rhetoric, y'all ain't really having a conversation. Both of y'all just talking.
Right.
But if you actually want to have a conversation where we both understand each other, if I have the ability to communicate with you in a way that you will understand it, it's better that we go that route. Because I don't want us to leave this conversation where, and I meant something and you didn't understand what I meant, and you said something and I didn't understand what you meant. No, we both understood exactly what was going on right here.
Yeah. Because
I communicated the best way that you understood. And so it helps a lot. And it's helped as I chaired meetings at the commission. It helped when I was mayor, because people were never confused about what my position was. This is my position. This is how I feel. This is what I'm going to do if you do this. So you have choice. Now you have agency. You can choose. You can speak. You can act. Understand that I believe in consequences. You know, I started off, I was blessed to be a lawyer here at Weiss, Serota. Before that, I was a prosecutor. I used to say, I don't prosecute who you are. I prosecute what you did. If you did something that was bad, there's a consequence to that.
Right.
And so I was the person, as the prosecutor, who stood up in court to actually help ensure that consequence manifested itself. And so I believe in those consequences.
No, and it's evident, I think, from the work that you've done as well. Now let's take it a step back. You mentioned before in terms of you being a prosecutor, and now you're in a public servant, right? You're a elected official. How did we get here?
It happenstance completely. You know, I graduated from law school. I had done well from the University of Miami. I was sitting at home, not doing anything literally. I had taken the bar exam. I passed the bar, done well in the bar. I wasn't even looking for a job. And so I'm sitting there, and they just came up with the technology where you have all the automated calls to your homes. And so T. Holloway was running for state representative. In my house, I stayed at my family home. We had maybe 5 phones in the house. Well, all of our numbers were on the list. So they kept calling saying, hey, we want you to vote for T. Holloway, whatever the message was. And so I get on I'd seen The Office. It was right down the street. One day I said, you know what, I'm just gonna go down there. I take all the numbers down there. I walk into the office. I met with a lady named Kim McCrae. And I said, Kim, these are the numbers that I don't want your automated system to ever call again. Don't ever call if you don't call these numbers again. I have a huge family in Miami Gardens. I can get you 60 votes because we have a family list. So our family list says when we make this family list, you are going to vote for everybody on this list. Every issue on this list. We sit down, we come up with this family. This is the family list. These people will be there. They'll vote for them, but you can't ever call these numbers again. Because I'm the person, my job was to answer the phones. And so I wasn't working. My job was just to answer the phones and take messages. And so I got tired of the phones ringing. And so she sat there, she talked to me for a long time. I go home, everything's great. They didn't call again. We all voted for him. He won. She calls me back the day after the election, and she says, hey, I was working with another campaign also, Dorothy Bendross-Mendengal. And she was running for state rep. And are you still home doing nothing? And I said, I'm absolutely still home doing nothing. She said, well, are you looking for a job? And I said, not really. She said, well, would you meet with her? I went and met with her at Lum's over on 7th. And we talked, it was a breakfast meeting. We ended up having breakfast and lunch. She hired me on the spot. So it's my first job out of law school as a legislative aide to a state representative. And so that kind of got me involved in public service. Before that, I just always assumed that I'd be a litigator somewhere. Yeah. Litigation is a gift for me. I like it. It was where my interests lied. And so that got me involved in public service, and specifically interested in public service. And I said, what got me involved is Miami Gardens becomes a city. If Miami Gardens, my hometown, never incorporates, I'd probably never run for public service. I'd probably never run for public service. Really? Yeah, it was, I believe in that place and that group of people. And I believe that I could be helpful and be transformative in that area. Yeah. And so I run in 2003 when the city incorporates. I lose, but I stay very active. I stay active and I come to all the meetings and I stay positive with them because ultimately I want us to build something together. And the person who I lost to, a good friend of mine, you know him, Oscar Brainan. When Oscar leaves the seat to go to the state legislature, the seat that T. Holloway, ironically, was leaving, he recommends me to become appointed to that city council seat that I initially ran for. And so I get appointed, I run to retain the seat, and then 2 years later, I run for mayor. I run for mayor. I was not the favorite. I ran against 6 people. I think I got something like 60% of the vote. And so that was me and Miami Gardens in our beginning. I ran with the idea that we don't have to actually move to the place we want. We can build it. We can build it. If you say you want economic development, don't tell me you want economic development and everything zoned residential. I'm going to change the zoning. You want community policing, that's great, but community policing in the sense that you have an officer walking down streets, that model existed when there were a lot fewer people and a lot fewer streets.
Right.
What we're going to do is take the young people from this community, send them to the police academy. And so they already have the relationships. You already have their numbers.
Yeah.
When they aren't working, their cars are parked in front of their homes. And we're not just going to look at crime from a policeman's perspective. We're going to invest in children and activities. We're going to invest in things so that the crimes that are crimes of situational crimes. You walked by, you saw this, you stuck your hand. You're going to have something to do. Mm-hmm. And so we did those things. I told them when I became mayor that we would be an all-American city, and that was it. I remember them laughing out loud. And the last year that I was mayor, 2020, we became an all-American city because my commitment to the plan, to the things that I said we would do together, was unwavering. And it's so interesting now because a lot of people walk with me in Walmart and Publix and hug me and say, "You were such a great mayor." I remember those people coming to city council meeting, yelling at me, telling me I was going to hell.
You won
I
them
remember.
over?
Yeah. Ultimately, it was just discipline and success that won them over. We act like sometimes it's magic or luck, but you can look at other places that have similar issues and see how they were successful and what worked for them. And you can make those things, you have to change them something. You can make it work for you.
Right.
But you just have to be committed to that. You have to be committed to the idea that you can become transformative. And I was committed to that. I remain committed to that.
No.
For Miami Gardens and Miami-Dade County.
I say it all the time. I feel like you put Miami Gardens on your back. Like you really did. Like I think that you have invested so much in that in the community. And it's, I'm from Miami Gardens, born and raised. It's all 10 of my mama kids and them, all of us, right? So it's something that I love and I speak so highly of. And I credit even just seeing the transformation within Miami Gardens to what I'm doing for a living, right? As a land use attorney, I remember being a college away, came home and visited for some, probably some holiday. And I remember looking around the city and saying, look at the lush landscapes and all this greenery that was planted. Betty T was being built up. And I just remember saying to myself, whoever did that, like whoever's in a business of transforming communities and cities, like I want to do that. And I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I knew I wanted a part of it. So I really do credit Miami Gardens in me seeing what a true transformation story can look like. And not to say that it was something terrible before, but I just know I can visually see it.
You can see the difference.
Yeah.
So us planting trees, we went through and we planted a bunch of trees, and we changed the code to require landscaping, and we talked about the sign code, about how things had to look a certain way, because what you accept is what you'll get.
Right.
And how you write this code, how you define what are the minimum requirements, is ultimately what people would meet. So you can't tell me that, I remember somebody telling me, it's one of our first city managers in Miami Gardens. It was funny because I just become mayor. And he said to me, and I don't know how he thought this was going to turn. He said, well, you want businesses, but all you're really going to get is some liquor stores and weave shops. I thought to myself, I'm going to fire him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, I'm going to fire him. Yeah. So because his expectation wasn't the same as mine. So I understood what Miami Gardens was. People who went to work every day, They were blue collar, white collar. They were senior citizens who had invested in their home. I understood who they were because I grew up there.
Right.
And they are who I am. And so I understood that. I understood that they were spending money in Aventura and Pembroke Pines and Coral Gables and all these other places. So it wasn't like they didn't have money to spend.
Yeah,
I would drive through Scott Park and see all the Mercedes.
Yep.
You know, I would drive through Rolling Oaks, and I know that was the first judge, black judge in Dade County. That was first property. I understood what was inside this community, what this community was made of, and I knew that we deserved more.
Yeah.
And so you articulate those standards, and listen, it wasn't easy because a lot of the folks who had previously led, like they would say they wanted economic development, but literally we had all of our commercial corridors zoned residential for single family homes. And so I started saying stuff like, hey, that's not going to work. And we're going to have density in these areas. And they said, well, no, we don't want density. No, you're going to have density.
Yeah.
I remember them coming to city council meeting. A church was trying to get something zoned, and it was so interesting because the lady literally said, you're going to go to hell because of this. And I said, I might go to hell, but not because of this. This is not going to be the reason.
The zoning might not get me there.
It's not going to be me zoning this, this density. No, it's not going to be that. Because I could see even back then, look, that's 2012. I could see back then that housing prices are largely predicated on supply and demand. So if you have a very low supply and high demand, the cost is going to go up. We need to densify those corridors.
Right.
We needed to do that. We needed to build more because we needed people to actually be able to afford to live there. So if you don't want your brand new teachers and your brand new, fresh out of college, like you're not going to come out of college or even come out of grad school and be able to buy a $300,000 house off rip. You're going to have to actually move into an apartment, then go to a townhouse, and then go to a house. You need to have all of those transitional type housings available in this community.
Right.
That's what you need to have.
Exactly. And I think that's what some folks seem to neglect to understand in terms of housing, in terms of support. Like there has to be some transition. Like you cannot just go, especially nowadays, the economy, you just can't do it.
You can't do it.
You have to build for where people are and meeting them where they are, right?
Yeah, but the problem isn't that people didn't understand. The problem isn't that the public doesn't understand.
Yeah.
The public's not going to understand these things a lot of times. The problem is that decision makers decide to be sometimes an amplification when they need to be setting a completely different tone. So if no one in every area said, no, we don't want any density, then we'd have a community full of single family homes and we never actually be able to support, that tax base does not support what we have to do here in Miami-Dade County.
Right.
So you need to densify those corridors. That had to happen. We knew it had to happen. Leaders have to understand that sometimes leadership isn't about doing something that's popular. You have to do something that you actually know is right.
Right.
And something that you know I'm not planning for the next 2 years. I'm planning for the next 20 years. I'm not planning for the kids who are graduating right now. I'm planning for all the subsequent classes.
Absolutely.
That's what leadership is, and you have to do that.
Yeah. You have to, what I admire about you is your ability to be people first, right? Like you're not just thinking, you're not in this for your own personal gain. It is really a public servant, right? When I used to work for Commissioner Barbara Jordan, she always made that very distinct. Like there's a difference between a politician and a public servant.
Absolutely.
Always very clear. And something that I see now, right? Culture, it can feel trendy. It can almost feel strategic too, right? But with you, it's not strategic. It's who you are. Like you're going to see, you have a viral, I mean, every other video is viral, but you got this viral video of you. And I laughed when I read some of the comments because it's like, look at Unc.
I reached Unc status now, right?
Yes.
Like, I'm Unc. Like everybody wants to be Unc status. I'm Unc now. The kids call me Unc.
I said, wait a minute.
I'm Unc, yeah.
You really made it around here
Unc,
now.
yeah.
You Unc status. But in the video, you dancing like you normally do.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit more about how do you stay connected to your roots?
I don't leave. I mean, people are always surprised when they see me shopping, and they shop with. I have people who shop with me. Like they'll see me in the store and they'll walk and talk to me about, hey, well, do you really want to eat that? And like, why don't you get this bacon? I don't eat pork. Oh, well, I don't like turkey bacon. Well, I know, but I don't eat pork bacon, so I'm getting this turkey bacon. Like, so I never really left. Look, when I went to law school, I used to catch the 27 in the Metro Rail, but every day I'd come back to Miami Gardens. You know, I bought the house that I live in now. I completely redid it, but I bought it from my parents. I lived in that same house until I was 10 years old. So the people who, they actually do know me. The community is, like, we never broke up. It's been a long relationship. It's been a long love affair. And so it's easy for me to actually just be myself. And, you know, I see those dancing videos, and the reactions are so funny because, first of all, the people who are so angry in the comments sometimes are like, is this what Miami-Dade County is spending money on? First of all, they don't pay money for that video. That's my Instagram. They're not paying it. You get a free account too, but people sometimes will try to steal your joy, and they want to make you pretend sometimes. Look, this is who I am. That's a part of me. I'm going to sing, I'm going to dance. I'm also going to quote Shakespeare, the Bible. I'm going to quote rules of law. Yeah. I'm going to lecture you on Robert's Rules of Order. I can do all of those things. We get into this thing sometimes where you have to be one thing or the other. I don't accept that. And I don't accept that you get to tell me what I get to be.
Yeah.
And so when I'm here at karaoke in the gardens, and this thing that I started when I was the mayor, that was a couple of hundred people. The city is now built out.
Huge.
And it's 15,000 people doing karaoke in a city park. Yeah, I should be able to sing and dance with them on stage because this is my community. Yeah. This is my community. And so it's interesting. And then some of the other folks are interesting too, because it's like, well, you know, you only ever dance on Instagram. And I said, no, I have a bunch of policy positions and speeches on Instagram too. If you're only seeing the dancing, that says a lot about you through your algorithm and not me through my content. So if you're only seeing this, then you're missing when I'm talking about healthcare. If you're only seeing this, when you're missing when I'm talking about rapid transit. If you're only seeing this, you're missing when I'm talking about law enforcement and public safety. You're missing all of these other things, but they're still on the page. We're doing those postings also. But the 200, 300,000 views is definitely me doing the slide or pulling out the stick. Or like the recent one is at the Omega picnic, and it was dreams and nightmares. Like that's it, when your song drop.
You gotta stop.
Your song drop. Yeah, your song drop. My song is on now, and so we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this with my song.
No, and I think it's important. I think it's important even from a professional in my career, where it's very easy to look at me and say she needs to be a lawyer and lawyer only, right? I jokingly said to you, I'm a government lawyer. You try to take that title away from me, but nonetheless, like I now embrace this. I'm all things, and some days you're gonna catch me at council meetings doing what I do there, and then other times it might be in a place of doing a podcast, right?
Yes.
We have the liberty to show up to the world and be exactly who, and use all of our gifts, right?
Yes.
Not just one, every last one of them. So that's where I'm at now, and I'm glad that you're the same, that you have been this way for so long, because it's important for the younger generation that comes after to know that I don't have to put on a mask, right? Like, you don't code switch.
I don't.
Right? You don't.
No.
I kind of do it a lot, and I have been doing it for a long part of my career, and it's up until right now that I just made up my mind and was like, why?
Yeah,
I don't need to.
I don't do that. I'm going to be me, and you're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out. I'm very comfortable. My dad was a preacher, so I'm very comfortable in church. But I'm also very comfortable in the park, and I'm very comfortable in the club too. Yeah. I mean, I'm just very comfortable in those places. I'm not. You don't have to be this or that, and it's funny because that's always kind of been a narrative, but it's never really been true. And when people actually analyze it, they analyze themselves. They realize it's not true about themselves either. They're not just this one thing. So like we take kids on this trip to different trips. The first year was the Grand Canyon. Then we went to New York City, Broadway, 50 kids from the community. Then we went to DC. This last one we did a civil rights tour. Right. And so sometimes we plug my phone in and my playlist would be there. If you listen to my playlist, first of all, you think I'm schizophrenic. Because it starts off with like dreams and nightmares, but then it's like Tim McGraw, Live Like You Were Dying. and it's like total praise, and it's like
Are you
there's
taking us? You know,
yeah,
we
it is
ping pong,
it is
we pickleball.
it is everything. It's literally everything.
Yeah.
But it's all a true reflection of my personality, and so there are times when I just in the morning when I wake up and I turn on my music, it's set on random. I don't know what it's gonna play. I don't know what it's going to play. I just know that everything that I've added to this playlist spoke to me in a very special way. I mean, and you have people who like, I love Whitney Houston, but like J-Lo actually has some good songs. And I know people be like, oh, J-Lo can't sing. That's not true. You know, there's this song she had from that last movie, you know, dun, 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 dun. It's really a nice song.
Okay.
It's really, but everything about it is everything about me in that playlist it's reflective.
Yeah, it sounds very diverse.
It is very, very, very diverse. Now, people, when they listen to it, they think I'm strange.
Yeah.
And I tell them I probably am, but I wasn't raised to be the same. Like, and I don't know why we spend so much time trying to be the same.
Right.
I used to, when I wore socks, I'm wearing no-shows. I do have on socks now, but when I wore long socks, still would I wear them? I don't wear matching socks.
Mm-hmm. That's intentional.
Well, I'm not intentionally matching them. So because it takes a lot of time. It took a lot of time. So when I wore socks every day, it just took a lot of time. And so when I would always say to my son, Oliver, get me some socks. And he'd always come and he'd bring back like 2 different socks. And so I just put on the socks. Now, ironically, when he gets his own socks, he gets matching socks.
Just next
so he might be kind of shady, like Oliver might be a little petty, but
or he might have just given you a little swag.
Maybe he did, but my thing was, well, what are socks meant to do? Socks are meant to stop you from, sweating into your shoes, keep your feet warm. Why do they have to look the same? Why do they have to match? Their function is being met. Why do they have to match? They have to match because of the social construct.
Right.
For the same reason that colors have to match, and because someone in France 300 years ago said this matches with this. I don't accept that. I think things can look good and things can function without being what you expected them to be. And so I'm not going to be captured or held captive by your expectations. My expectations for me is high, and I'll meet them. My expectations, the expectations my parents had for me were high, and I met them. The fact that you think that I shouldn't dress this way, or I shouldn't dance this way, or I should have said it this way, that's not really my issue. That's on you. You need to talk to somebody about that stuff.
Right. And I want to talk a little bit, delve into a little deeper what you said in terms of sometimes things don't have to match, right? Mm-hmm. They just need to serve the function, or that it's possible to still move forward with it. Even shifting now, we talked a lot about Miami Gardens. Now, just taking it back at a county level, and now you're with other individuals. Now you're representing far beyond Miami Gardens, right? Yeah. How do you manage to still keep diversity of thought, right? And then still champion the needs of your district? Like, how do we all get to the place of everybody's, I guess, individual interests are being met? Or is that not even possible?
Well, it's illusory. So the question assumes that people are actually different in different areas. Mm-hmm. And so Miami Gardens, in some ways, the issues that were presented and the kind of streams of thought that people wanted you to pursue, it was a microcosm of the whole county. There are people who wanted us to focus uniquely on the environment. There are people who want us to focus uniquely on, like, everybody thinks that their idea is the very best idea, and it's the only silver bullet to actually solve everything. Mm-hmm. Like, everyone thinks that, but that's not true. So from a county perspective, it's the same thing. I'm going to make the best decision that's the best balanced decision. Right. And so it means that sometimes people will leave the room and none of them are happy with me. But most often, the best decision is a balanced and thoughtful, contemplated compromise. And so I am not an ideologue in any respect. I am more pragmatic and practical than I am anything. What can we do? How can we help the most people? It's utilitarian.
Right.
And so now with the broader interest of the county, look, I get everything that everyone's saying. We're not going to be able to make everybody happy. But we're going to actually satisfy the basic needs of this community. We're going to do the very best we can. And when we come to a point where we can't do that. I'll have that conversation with you. I'm not afraid to tell you what can and can't do. And people have been asking me now about the county budget, and they'll call me and I was like, hey, I don't think we're going to do that this year. I appreciate, no, you all do great work. That's why I funded you so greatly in the past, but I don't think we can do that this year.
Right.
It is the situation that we find ourselves in is challenging. And we have the capacity to meet the needs of any situation. The question is whether we have the willpower. That's the question. The question isn't whether, and I'll use rapid mass transit as an example, which is one of my babies, rapid mass transit. At some point, we know we have to do it. Traffic is getting bad. Housing, it keeps going up. We know we have to invest in rapid mass transit and densify our corridors so people don't need a car. They can get on some type of train, rail, and they can go places. We're going to have to do that. We have administrations in Washington and Tallahassee who don't favor transit. At some point, we'll have to do it ourselves. The question isn't whether we can afford to do it. Look, the question is whether we have the willpower to do it. The beautiful thing about communities is that we can all do a little, but when we aggregate that little, it's a lot.
Right.
We can do a little, we aggregate it, we all add it all together, it's a lot. So we have to develop that willpower. That's what we did in Miami Gardens when I said I want to redo all the parks. Hey, no, I know you want these activities on parks for your kids. I need a $60 million general obligation bond to start fixing these things up. That averages out to $3.60 a month. Do you all want to do it? You tell me what you want from a community, and I'll tell you how we get it done. The question is, and the problem is that sometimes we have people who will say, well, we want the park, but we don't want to pay for it. That's not the real world.
Yeah.
And too often people who are elected aren't actually leading, and they're just politicians, and they're just going to tell you what you want to hear. And you want to hear that you can have everything and don't have to pay for it. That's not true. When you call 911, you want police officers to come, you got to pay for it. If you have a medical emergency, you want EMT to come, you got to pay for it. You want nice schools for your kids, you got to pay for it. Those things have a cost, and those costs get higher every year based on just cost of living, just contracts, just union agreements. They get higher every year. We have to pay for those things.
Right.
And that's the adult conversation I think that sometimes is missing.
100%. I think that you've just touched on so many really good things in this interview, in the span of it. I have just one more question as it relates to the county, and then we'll have a little fun segment for you. But what I know we hear often about housing, infrastructure, those things get a lot of play just from in general. What's something that doesn't, that you think that you actually wish more residents were aware of or had more of a voice or active in? Anything from that standpoint that you want to bring light to?
I can answer that question, and I'll answer that question by talking about, solid waste. But let me just say how I see most things is the larger issues and even the smaller ones are inextricably intertwined. When we talk about housing, you can't intelligently talk about housing without talking about transportation, without talking about resiliency, those things, they're all connected. You can't do it. I would say solid waste because it has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
It has to go somewhere. And we have an expectation that garbage is going to get picked up. We all want to live in a community that's clean, but sometimes we don't want to do the things that actually, help that happen. And so I think that if we paid a little bit more attention to it, I visited places around the world, and it's so interesting. Culture is interesting because when you visit Japan, it's just there's no littering, there's no garbage on the streets. There's just no garbage. People will put their garbage in their bag and wait till they get home, and they'll throw it away. We have garbage cans up and down the streets, and we still have garbage up and down the streets. We actually pay people to actually come out in cities to pick up garbage off the street. And I'm not saying I don't want to pay them. I'm all for them being gainfully employed. But we need to really just check ourselves. If you don't want to live in a place that's nasty, don't make it nasty. So if we just paid attention to that stuff, we actually paid attention to recycling more. We had a recycling program in the county that was supposed to be paying us, but it ended up costing us because people don't actually pay attention to the recycling rules the way they should. And just because it's plastic doesn't mean it can be recycled just like this. Just because it's a piece of box doesn't mean it can be recycled just like this. We just need you to pay a little closer attention. If we pay closer attention as a community, it would financially be beneficial, but it would also help the environment. And people don't hear me talk about the environment enough or a lot, but it's always front of mind for me because ultimately we have to preserve this place, not just the institutions, the government, the cities, the businesses that exist on this place, but we have to preserve this place specifically.
Right.
This land that God gave us, we have to preserve it.
Absolutely.
And it's our duty to actually give it to the next generation, at least in as good situation, hopefully better. And so we need to be thinking about those things. But solid waste, how we actually deal with trash, that's actually important.
Yeah.
More people should pay attention. Not when we're just trying to figure out where to, build a waste-to-energy facility, but when you're actually taking out your green and your blue containers, making sure this is in the right container and this isn't. That stuff really matters.
It matters. No, it does. And I think what we've seen happen in Miami Gardens in terms of the landscaping, the greenery, the parks, all those things add to you taking pride in your community and wanting to make sure that you take care of it. So I think all of it plays hand in hand. Now, before we let you go, because I know you got to get to pickleball, okay?
I have to get to pickleball.
I know you got to get there. But we have a little segment that we like to call Wishful Thinking. And so this is rapid fire. Don't think about it too much. If you want to pass, go ahead and pass. But I don't think they're hard. So you can, we're going to tell you to pick one or the other, okay? Ready for it? Let's do it. All right, Drake or Kendrick?
Oh, Kendrick, what?
That was easy. I started real easy, huh?
Well, you picked an actor or a rapper.
Stop, like not you over here.
But I like Drake.
Drake's record against Drake.
Drake's a great entertainer. And he's on my playlist. But Kendrick Lamar is an artist.
He's a lyricist.
He's Prince in hip hop 20 years later. Kendrick Lamar is
that's a high.
He's a poet. He's a poet to music. Kendrick Lamar is a very, very, very intelligent
Look,
man.
I think Kendrick need to start paying you because at this point, you need some royalties to that song.
Kendrick Lamar is special.
All right, morning coffee or cafecito?
I don't drink either, but when I do, it would be cafecito at the county commission.
Okay, Marvin Gaye or Al Green?
Oh, Marvin Gaye.
Ooh, you said that so easy. That was a little hard one.
I like Al Green, but no, Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye, taken from us too soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Budget season or campaign season?
Ooh, budget season.
All right, y'all got a tough one this year.
Yeah.
So, soul food Sunday or seafood boil Saturday?
Soul food.
All right. Paper agenda or iPad?
Oh, iPad.
Okay. Greatest entertainer of all time?
Greatest entertainer of all time is Michael Jackson.
All right. I knew it. I just feel like everybody's going to say MJ.
It's Mike. No, an entertainer. They might be better singers. Like Prince was a better musician. But the greatest entertainer of all time, that's Mike.
All right. So more pressure, a commission meeting or family cookout with a mic in hand?
Oh, easy. Family cookout. Easy cookout, yeah. Commission meeting, that's gravy. Yeah, it is what it is.
So what you bringing to the family cookout? What's your dish?
Mac and cheese.
Oh.
It's better than yours.
That was a lot of confidence there. Hold up.
It's like written and read in the Bible somewhere.
I never tasted though. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
Nobody even told me about it.
No, it's like Genesis 8:15. That's my birthday. Genesis 8:15. Thou shall make great macaroni and cheese. Make five different cheeses. I don't even boil my pasta in water. I make a solution to boil my pasta. My pasta is amazing just by itself.
Look now, normally, if something's so great, you tend to have heard it. It's like, nobody around.
You be hanging down there in Coral Gables. I'm telling you, you come to the park. They done had it. The seniors at the senior center ask me all the time, hey, will you make the macaroni and cheese? I just can't. I cannot do it. First of all, it takes a long time. And macaroni and cheese is a very expensive dish to make.
You got to get the right cheeses. It's a
very expensive dish to make. But it takes a lot of time. So I only make it like maybe 3 times a year. My son loves it.
Okay.
I actually made it this past weekend, and I tried it with the keto pasta. Mm-hmm. It's the first time I tried it, just to see whether he'd like it, and he did.
All right, you're gonna have to make me a plate next time.
I have to make you a plate next time.
Do what you gotta do, okay?
There you go.
But I'm so appreciative of you. You know that. Like every time I call, anything, even in some of the very low times of our families' lives, you have always been there. And I know it's not just for me. I know you are that to other people too, right? And so you wear a lot of hats. You do a lot of things. Apparently, he's a chef too, y'all. Who knew?
I'm a chef too. Yeah.
Who knew? But thank you so much to the Honorable Oliver Gilbert III. And so I'm just so appreciative. Thank you for being with us.
It was my pleasure to be here. It's like a little bit of a homecoming coming to Weiss Serota. You all do great work here.
Awesome.
I appreciate you and I appreciate the firm. And listen, I'm always going to be a Weiss Serota lawyer at some point. So you all taught me municipal law and county law.
Yes, we appreciate it.